So in this segment, we're going to be discussing Keir Starmer once again attacking freedom of movement and, quote, cheap labour, which is, again, nonsensical. And I think, in my opinion, it kind of demonises foreign people, but, maybe I'm wrong on that, I don't know. So Starmer, this is before he made his statement, I think, to the CBI, but point being is that he talks about the need to be pragmatic, all of this nonsense. The Labour leader told the conference that the days of low pay and cheap labour are part of the British way on growth must end, but the fact is we could always control non-EU immigration, and to argue that he's kind of arguing the free market is the kind of cause of this in a sense. But the fact is, if the government wanted people to earn more, they could raise the bottom tax threshold, decrease the taper rate for people on universal credit, but also, this might sound a bit radical here, but also try and increase the minimum wage. Maybe that might help. Using windfall taxes amongst other things, trying to create more competition also within the market. These are the things the government could try and do, but apparently it's down to freedom of movement. That's the problem we're facing here. The full factor come out with a statement saying that they haven't seen any evidence to say that membership of the single market suppressed wages in the last 12 years. That's from 2017. You could argue that the UK market, because we don't train enough people, we were reliant on people from the EU, and because those people have gone, certain industries have seen pay rises, such as lorry drivers would be the most famous example of it. But what are the mechanisms for us to train up our own lorry drivers? It's not going that great. Let's be honest, it's a long-term strategy we would need in order to fix a lot of the problems we're facing. So I do semi-agree with this full fact article, but the fact is we've had a recession, and also we had the Tories in for most of those 12 years. So I'd argue it's probably down to that wages have been stagnant rather than just freedom of movement, because a lot of the kind of Eastern European states, the ones that get demonized a lot, I think they were kind of enrolled into the EU. They had access to freedom of movement to the UK from around 2002 2004. So the numbers don't quite stack up in Tice's favour, I'll be honest, because he's the one that made the statement about it. But the fact that this is kind of linked to freedom of movement, what Starmer has to do, because we do have a lack of tradespeople amongst other expertise, what Starmer really has to do is set out his plan to educate Britain. He's got to set out his plan to get people into trade schemes and also further education. But the other problem that Starmer doesn't seem to mention, no one else does, is the UK is facing a chronic shortage of things like illnesses, mental illnesses and physical illnesses. So the puzzle of the UK's 500,000 missing workers is from the BBC here. So for the first time, more than 2.5 million people in the UK are out of work because of long-term health problems. I think the unemployment, the vacancies number is higher than the amount of people we have unemployed as well. But there are a lot of people on long-term sick leave, amongst other things. It's jumped up because of the pandemic, because the time for routine operations has gone up dramatically. But you've got the example they give here for Mary Starling, saying she's got good days and bad days. She has multiple health problems. She's 61, so she's up there in age, but not that up there in age. But she needs a knee replacement, but she could be out for 18 months. I think it mentions that she was a nurse, or she is a nurse. So if she doesn't get her knee replacement, she's going to be unable to do her job properly. And if she could get her knee replaced, or get the surgery that she needs done, she'll be out for a bit longer post-surgery. But the simple fact is, she'll be back in the workforce potentially, and she'll be able to, contribute more to society by being a nurse. There's not many more higher contributions you can do than being a public sector worker. You've got this gentleman down here, which I'll kind of gloss over. You've got loads of, long-term illnesses, mental health, nervous disorder, problems with back or neck that could be down to more office work as well, because people have bad posture. I have bad posture now. Heart and blood pressure, it's down to, I think, just really bad diets for the most part. I'm not a doctor, so some of these I'll take an L on. But, you see the rise of these problems, but the fact is people aren't being able to see a GP. People aren't being able to go to hospitals. You've got this gentleman here who's had long-term breathing problems post-COVID. There is a wealth scheme, apparently, that's going to help him kind of get back into his job role. He was a milk truck driver. He's a milk truck driver and a biker, which I'm guessing he does in his personal time, but he hasn't been able to get the proper help that he needs in order to go back into the workforce. So this is a key problem. So this is another thing Starmer hasn't fully addressed yet. He's mentioned how we have too many foreign people in the NHS right now. So my question is, how is he going to replace all of them, along with all of the? So how is he going to replace all the foreign workers we have, along with all of the ones that we need to train up? Because apparently from the EU, around 4,000 healthcare workers have left post-Brexit, which isn't very great, is it? Let's be honest now. There's more. Finally he's come to realise that open borders aren't the right action, says a Tory MP. And this is the problem here. He's using the language, or he's using some of the assertions that racist people make or xenophobes make in their statements. Keir Starmer is. I don't know if Mark Spencer is a xenophobe or a racist, but he's saying that this open borders nonsense doesn't work when we don't really have an open border. Like, let's be honest here. This is probably the most egregious one. You've got Nigel Farage praising Keir Starmer's speech on immigration. Nigel Farage, because apparently that's the English pronunciation, not Farage. That'd be the French one. Farage. He hates it apparently. He's the one that's praising Starmer over this. Ridiculous. This is probably my favourite one. So according to Dan Hodges, Starmer told the Mail on Sunday that a Swiss deal wouldn't work for Britain because of freedom of movement is a red line for him. So now we go up to this person here saying full voting rights for EU nationals, defend free movement as we leave the EU, an immigration-based system based on compassion and dignity, end indefinite detention, and the closure of centres such as Yarwood. Now, I don't know much about Yarwood, but this person here could argue that they don't want to defend freedom of movement because we've left the EU. It says defend free movement as we leave the EU. But he can try and argue that we left. But I think we did leave at the time he made these statements, because it's Keir Starmer who said this. And you've got people here in the comments or in the tweet saying Owen Jones wants to retain the Tory government, pass it on. But calling out Starmer for backing out on previous statements that he's made, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I'll be honest, especially when this one as egregious as this, because he's using the the language of racists and xenophobes to kind of appeal to people in this do these mythical people in the red wall actually exist? The ones that kind of enjoy the xenophobia, that will come back to Labour. Do these people really exist? Like, long term, are they going to be like, oh yeah, man, I love free movement? Oh, that's an American accent. God damn, I can't do a British one, a northern one. But are they going to be like, oh yeah, I like the free movement of goods, service and capital, but I hate freedom of movement, so that's why I don't want any further alignment with the EU. That's why I hate the single market. These people fundamentally exist. Like, my question is, who are in these focus groups that Keir Starmer is listening to, and where is this polling? I know it's a lot of internal polling, but where is the polling that reflects this? You got Ian Dunt, known Liberal and big Europhile, saying Keir Starmer's completely misread the national mood on immigration. The problem is it's a paywalled article, so he sucks. But yeah, you got this guy Ben Bradshaw, an MP, trying to run to Starmer's defence here, and I think Ian Dunt replied saying he did. But you can see people just, you can argue he's a Europhile, so he won't support it, but I don't think Keir Starmer has as much support on ending freedom of movement as he thinks he does, especially as airports and port queues grow longer. I think British people will more and more realise how important, how much freedom of movement helped just keep the queues down. As much as British people love queuing up, they might understand it a bit better. Labour's Lisa Nandy says the party wants a sensible approach to immigration. We need a serious plan to fill our vacancies, not back of a fag packet plans. But the fact is, you need to show us the plans, at least when the manifesto comes out. But to argue, we don't need, I can't show you these basic plans. We need proper planning. It's like, that's your job. You're meant to show us. You're meant to be the government in waiting. So you're going to have to monster reveal this stuff. Like, you're going to have to show us what's going on here. A couple of more things. Starmer's trying to argue that he's worried that senior members of Rishi Sunak's government who don't seem to understand that and are going around saying they want to reopen the Brexit debate again, because he's kind of seen Boris Johnson's kind of get Brexit done, and he's going with get Brexit, make Brexit work. But the thing is, that's going to lead to further negotiations. He's saying, Starmer said he wants a veterinary agreement with the EU. The problem with that is you're still going to have to negotiate that. It's not going to be reopening Brexit, but you're still going to have to talk to the EU and discuss it, no doubt. It could be quick negotiations, but it's still going to happen. And you got this from Alexandra Hall, who's, I think, a senior foreign diplomat. She's pretty cool, I'll be honest, saying Starmer won't rejoin the EU, single market or customs union. We know the single market thing you can't do, but it doesn't matter in this context. Saying he won't support a Swiss-style relationship, he doesn't support freedom of movement. In power, he will magically produce a fantastic new trade deal relationship with the EU, despite ruling out most options to achieve it. Why bother being in opposition? And the thing is, right, he's trying to argue, the government are going to renegotiate Brexit and cause all this headache. But the thing is, Brexit is going to have to be renegotiated. Even Bloomberg have been calling it out, saying the UK needs a new deal with the European Union. So the fact is that needs to happen, and for us to push growth, it's going to have to happen. And if Starmer wants a long tenure in government as Prime Minister, he's going to have to force growth to happen. And the only way to do that, or the quickest way to do that, is to renegotiate the deal we have with the EU and kind of increase trade and amongst other things. But the fact is, he won't go for some of the options that are on the table. And the fact is, even though he's saying he wants a veterinary agreement and further alignment with the EU, you're still gonna have to negotiate that. And I don't know how popular that's gonna be when, if you get a dynamic alignment deal with the EU, which is on the table, which I think the Labour Party are a fan of. How much are these mythical red wall voters going to accept having our rules around agriculture, which they probably don't care much about in that sense, but how much are they going to accept us being rule takers in that regard, given that that was one of the reasons why they voted to leave the EU, even though it wasn't true in the first place. But yeah, this is some headbanging stuff of him attacking. So I switched from dark mode to light mode. I can't really help it at the moment. I haven't found a good dark mode reader. But, I don't appreciate him using the language xenophobes. I've seen, a person I spoke to on Twitter about it, big YouTuber, saying, that the language is clumsy. But if you look at what the Labour Party have actually said in their, kind of documents and things like that, it's very different. But, I think rhetoric is very important. He can argue that policies are the most important. I'd agree with that. But rhetoric itself is also very important, especially when you implement these policies and people are like, hang on, you said this, but you've done this. I don't think people are going to be very happy about that, especially these mythical racist red wall voters who are going to magically turn to the Labour Party because they're saying, oh, we don't want freedom of movement. And also the fact that they're arguing we're going to keep Brexit done in the sense of this article. Sorry, I've rambled a bit in this video, but I hope it makes sense. I'm just frustrated with the Labour Party because you're arguing you're not going to renegotiate the deal, but you're going to have to renegotiate aspects of it. So, for you to attack the government over it just doesn't make any sense. I guess he's trying to argue that the government are going to open old wounds and he won't do that, but it's a fundamental lie. But I guess politics is a game full of lies, and I get the argument that we need to get rid of the Tories. I genuinely do accept that, but there will be a point where someone's going to say not like this, and for a lot of the FBPE crowd and the really pro-EU crowd, this is where some of them might try and draw the line. But I don't appreciate you guys getting mad at us or mad at other people when people are saying, Starmer's gone back on his policies that he made during the leadership campaign, and you're like, oh, stop helping the Tories, moo. But the fact is, a lot of the reasons why I think people in the FBP crowd and the pro-EU crowd beyond them wanted to get Starmer in is because Starmer said, he's pro freedom of movement, but now he's kind of switched gears to demonise foreign workers. But where's the politicians seem to be able to flip on a dime here and just change policies and ideals very quickly, and just makes me wonder, what ideals do they actually cling on to apart from money and power? Like, what else do you fundamentally believe in? But anyways, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Sorry this video is a bit messy. There's just a load of stuff to cover. Let me know what you think in the comments. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Support the channel on Patreon if you can. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one.